On today's episode of Streaming with Sign Language, people think you've got to have a big old budget, $1 million, and a whole production to start a podcast or a YouTube channel. I disagree, but let's find out. Thinking about your budget, like I said before, there's only so much you can do with your phone, but it will get you started. Now, depending on your budget, if you've got things like a laptop, regardless of the brand, if you got a tablet, if you have a full-fledged desktop, you can definitely get started with that as well. If you have questions about getting started, you can put your questions on the channel in the chat and let me know what type of questions you do have. But specifically, there's also different types of recording equipment. There's different types of audio software that you can put on your computer, tablet, laptop, or whatever electronic device you have that you would like to utilize. It doesn't take going out and buying a whole bunch of equipment just to get started. The most important part is getting started. I think a lot of people have a hesitation of even starting. They're not sure where to go, what to do, what to buy. And again, you don't need all that crap I talked to you about last episode, but it does help. Now, depending on what type of computer you do have, or a laptop, or tablet, iPad, whatever that may be, your software choices, which are free, can vary. Some only work on Mac, some only work on PC, some work on both. For myself, I do currently use GarageBand to edit my audio, but there's other things like Audacity, which is free. If you do work off the Mac platform, you can also use GarageBand like I do, or you can use other softwares. Some of those softwares are HyaWave, H-Y-A-W-A-V-E. Like I said before, you could use Audacity, A-U-D-I-C-I-T-Y, don't quote me. Another one I personally haven't used, but is LMMS, which is Linux Multimedia Studio. That one runs on PC, Apple, and Linux. A lot of them are user-friendly, some of them are not. A more advanced audio recording software would be Pro Tools. You do have to pay, you don't pay for the software per se, you more so pay for the hardware that gives you the key to utilize the software. So it kind of depends on what works best for you. And I do understand that some people are not computer savvy, some aren't. So that's why I also initially started with being able to use your phone to record your audio. You can also use the audio you record into your phone, export it into whatever DAW, which is Digital Audio Workspace, aka all that software that I just suggested for recording your audio, your talking, your sound, however you want to phrase it. And when you do that, we'll talk about that in another episode, you could actually use that to clean up and make your audio sound better. Myself, I'm actually recording directly into my camera with the Rode Mic Go Wireless 2. It runs about, depending on where you find it, about $400. And like I said, I just really started this series. So if you do want more information on what I specifically use, I'm more than willing to share. So yeah, there's things of that nature that you can utilize to record your audio, get it exported onto your computer, your laptop, your tablet, whatever you do prefer to use. Another option is actually recording your audio into some of these different podcast platforms that will upload your audio for you for free. The current podcast platform that I use used to be called Anchor, like a boat, A-N-C-H-O-R. It's now called Spotify for podcasters, and that's a really powerful tool. There are also other options. Some of those different platforms that will host your podcast is StreamYard, Libsyn, Podbean. You have Speaker. That's not how you say it. And a couple more would be Spreaker, and I could put some more in the chat if you want to know. Some of them offer more bang for your buck, even the free ones, if you do pay for a higher tier of service. It kind of depends on what you're looking for. If you want to have multiple podcasts on one RSS feed, then you may have to pay a little more. If you have one podcast, you would just use it for one particular podcast. And again, we'll go into different details as we go along this series of Streaming with Sign Language. Now, a quick summary of what an RSS feed is. Basically where different distributors of podcasts can find your actual podcast feed. Some you would copy and paste your RSS feed. Some will actually host your RSS feed for you. It kind of just depends on what direction you want to go. I know some of this sounds really complicated, but it's a lot easier said than done. Like I said, as we go through this series, you'll learn more about different options, different ways to get your podcast out to your listeners. But like I said, don't allow your budget. Is this thing focusing on me?
doing this.
But in closing, like I said, don't allow your budget to hinder you from starting your podcast or your YouTube channel. We'll go into more depth as we go along the series. And before you get out of here, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. This is Michael, and you're streaming with Sign Language. Peace.